back to Front Seat Driver. My name is Jason. Once again, I'm here with Tim from Dad's Garage. In today's video, we're actually going to talk about his 2020 Dodge Charger. That's right, it is a Dodge Charger. I have said numerous times Dodge Challenger on this car, never on video. I always delete it, but I always call it a Challenger, even though I know exactly what it is. Sometimes the brain doesn't work. Anyway, we're gonna go and do a good, decent overview, which I haven't done in the past. I've mentioned the car, showed it a little briefly, but today we're gonna do a better job. So anyway, stay tuned. All right, guys, before we get started, go follow Tim, Dad's Garage on YouTube. I will leave a link down in the description, but he does videos, anything from guns to tools to garage door insulation. Go check that video out. That thing has 180,000 views. It's insane. So, but now we're gonna talk about his 392 Hemi Scat Pack Dodge Charger. So tell me a little bit about this, Tim.
Well, I guess the first thing probably is to differentiate the wide body from the narrow body Scat Pack. But we'll talk about all the different Chargers just real quick. So they have a 6-cylinder model. You can get it in a SXT or a GT. Those are the 6-cylinder models. Then you can bump up to the RT, which is the smaller V8. That's the 5.7 V8. And then you go to the Scat Pack next. Nice. So the Scat Pack is a 6.4 liter, 392 cubic inch, 485 horsepower, 475 torque. And when you do go, both Scat Packs have the same engine and transmission in it, but you do get a different suspension when you go with the wide body. So with the wide body, not only do you get the fender skirts that give you about 3.5 more inches of width.
I love those.
But you also get on the tires, you go from a 245 to a 305 35/20.
Nice.
So you get a lot more rubber meat in the road. You go from about a 10-inch width to a 12-inch width tire. The rims are a 20/11.
And I do love these. These are, I know not everybody likes the graphite or whatever. I absolutely love it. I love the design. These are some of my favorite wheels.
They are mine too. I think they're one of the coolest wheels on any car out there from the factory. I just think they're really, really cool.
And then you switched out tires. How long did the tires that you had on there? You had the Pirellis on here before.
Pirelli P0s.
Yeah, Pirelli P0s.
Yeah, with no burnouts, they were pretty much toast in about 8,000 miles.
That's crazy.
And I had to push them to 12 because it took forever to get the tires in. For whatever reason, 305 35/20s are just, they're not in every store. So.
The world of C, the C word, ends with a D.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. But
and then you went back with Michelin's this time, or no? You did go with Michelin, and then
I did a whole video on that too with real tight comparisons.
Link down in the description of that video. I'll go ahead and link that.
Yeah.
But yeah, you switched. You went from Pirelli. You went to Michelin.
Yeah.
You had some issues with the Michelin's, and then you moved over to the BFG.
Yeah. Went with these BFG, and they've got a name like 4 miles long. It's a G-Force Comp 2.
Nice, G-Force Comp 2. Yeah. I like these. I think they look really good. There's a kind of, I know you're not the biggest fan of the edge tread, but I kind of like it.
Kind of looks like Speed Racer when he hits the button.
Yeah.
You know, when they get the knobs and they goes off-road, but I'm not a big fan of that piece of it, but the tread pattern looks really nice, and they do really well in the water, and the Michelin's were fantastic. The problem I had was when you got them on water, it was like driving on ice, and it was just flat wicked. So had them switch those out and put these on it, and I haven't had any problem with that. They don't get quite as good dry traction as the Michelin's did, but they're darn good.
Now, one other thing though is with the wide body, which looks a million times better. It does, this is my opinion, but I you know, same way with the Corvette. But you said it adds weight.
It does. It does add some weight to the car because not only are you adding, you know, 4 side skirts, wider rims, so you got more metal, you got wider tires, you got more weight in the tires. You also have active suspension, so that adds a lot of weight too from just a standard suspension going with all the electronics involved with an active suspension and all the cylinders and all that sort of stuff.
So what you were saying, it has like 300 pounds? It's about 300 pounds heavier?
About 200 is what I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah, I never weighed both cars, so I don't know that.
Right.
But
I guess a quick Google
heard,
search might find that out for anybody that's that
probably.
really heavily interested.
Yeah, but these will handle a lot better. You know, you got a wider, chassis to begin with, and then adding that active suspension, because you can go into track mode and you all of a sudden it feels really rough.
Yeah.
It goes from a pretty smooth, compliant ride to really rough when you kick it over to like track mode.
Well, yeah, and one thing is it looks, I mean, again, I'm I'm a little biased, but I think the wider body looks fantastic.
Yeah, you like wide bodies.
Yes, I do. The new Z06 coming out, man, that's why, as much as I always liked the Stingray, I had to wait and get the Grand Sport because I just like the wider body.
Right.
It's just
too.
better.
Me too. They look lower. I mean, this car looks a lot lower from the front and the back than the standard body does.
Yeah.
And it's not. It just looks that way because of the width.
So what other work have you done inside in the engine bay? I know you added a catch can.
Yeah, I added a catch can. And that is all I've done in the engine bay.
No cold air intake or anything like that?
No, they don't do anything for these cars.
Okay.
They don't do nothing.
I'm surprised. I'd be like, hey, we can get money and we can take it. They'll just throw money at us. Let's just make anything.
Yeah, they do nothing for these cars. These cars, one thing is the aftermarket doesn't support them real well, like the Mustangs and Camaros.
Right.
They don't. Spiderweb got me. They don't have a lot of aftermarket stuff. For one, they come from the factory pretty optimized.
Yeah.
There's not a lot you can do to them to get more power without spending quite a bit of money.
Yeah. So. And I would love to do an exhaust on this, the sound, but unfortunately we've done this a few different times and the exhaust note that comes out is insane. When you hear it in person, it is the best exhaust, I swear, I've ever heard, except for whenever it's on video.
Yeah, I just think I've tried all sorts of different microphones and different, iPhones and stuff to try to record that sound, and I just think they won't pick up that deep tone. I don't know what it is, because it's always disappointing. Now, one thing I've noticed is when I will record that, if I play it on a good set of headphones or on a car stereo or something, you get that.
Right.
But when it gets reproduced through another phone, you lose all that deep tone, and it just doesn't work. So.
Yeah. Well, I will say I love this because this is my favorite color. Peter Carey, Frostbite, New Jersey. This is the Frostbite of Texas, and I love this color. Although I think there may be some changes coming. But we won't get into that right now. But I think,
surprise coming
there's some interesting stuff with the Frostbite. It's going to be.
It's not getting wrapped. I'll put it that way.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna. I know what you've been planning to do, and I kind of hate to tell everybody, but I know you are planning to do the same pink on here that Strad did on his Lamborghini Aventador Pirelli edition.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah. No. Oh, okay. Okay. See, I was thinking that was the route. Although I love Strad's car. That's my favorite car probably ever. But. Let's talk about something that sucks, because this is your daily driver. This isn't just an occasional weekend car. This is one that you drive every day. You take meticulous care. Honestly, this is probably the dirtiest I've ever seen this car, because you wash it constantly. You're much like Steve, who, although Steve doesn't daily drive his, but you keep yours meticulously clean. So today's not the cleanest, but when you were at Roadhouse the other night, you got a little bit of a ding right here.
Yep.
And so the great thing is it's not terrible, and it has expel or paint protection.
It is expel.
It is expel. Okay, so it's expelled, and so it probably didn't do a whole lot of damage to the paint. Like I said, I don't know if you guys can see that right here, but the downside of owning this car as a daily is that it has opportunity for more damage when you just drive it all the time.
Right.
And
21,000 miles in 11 months. So it gets put on the road. It's our everything car. We go everything everywhere in it and do everything.
That's right. So. But now it's a $2,000 damage, $1,000 for the expel, $1,000 to get that fixed. Yeah. So
but it will be fixed because it's just the way I roll, just like you would.
Amen. No question. I know Steve gets this tiny little, he's spending 3 hours trying to make it disappear. This is going to be a lot more than a 3 hour. Would you say like 3 days or something like that?
3 days. Yeah, they said they're going to have to, of course, remove the expel off the entire nose, which is all one piece.
Yeah, this whole entire section.
Ridiculous amount of work. And all the curves and everything.
Yeah.
It's just nuts what the poor guy has to go through to get it on there. But that's got to come off. Then they're going to have to fill it because it is.
Yeah.
It's a little divot in there. It didn't hurt the paint. It only hurt the expel.
Right.
But that divot's going to have to be filled. They're going to have to prime this section, paint this section, and then they're going to clear the whole thing so there's no tape lines.
That'll be good. And then it'll look like brand new.
One thing I wanted to mention on the wide body, another thing that's different is with the regular Scat Pack, you get fog lamps down here.
Oh.
With the wide body, you get air vents, and these, it's an air vent about like this if you're under the car, and it just pushes that right back there to those 6-piston Brimbos.
Exactly.
And that is a difference too. The wide bodies get 6-piston Brimbos on the front with 2-piece 15.8-inch rotors, so they're just massive. And then you get 4-piston Brimbos out back.
Nice, nice. So you get lots of brake dust.
You get tons of brake dust.
Yeah, that's the one thing I'm looking forward to ceramic brakes is the lack of brake dust.
Yeah.
These Brimbos, I swear, you go 7 feet and you got to clean your wheel.
Right.
It's insane.
Yeah. These things, you know, for being such a big, heavy car, because these things weigh in around 46+ pounds.
Nice.
It's amazing how good that motor is. And, and the ZF transmission's probably the best automatic transmission that's
it's the best sounding.
Probably made.
It sounds so much like a manual when you're pulling up and all the pops, and it's just, your car sounds fantastic.
I get it all the time. People always ask me, you got a manual in that? And no, it's just that ZF. It works so good.
It is.
But these things, I've run 0 to 60 in 4.2 in this thing 5 or 6 times.
Right.
And I did run a 0 to 60 in 4.0 once.
Nice.
I think I could get better than that in cooler weather, but we just haven't had it yet to get a chance. But
hoping it's
one
coming.
of these mornings when we get a 55-degree morning, I'm going to get out there and I could probably get a sub 4, which in my mind is just ridiculous from a car this heavy.
Yeah.
To be able to run, you know, a 0 to 60 and 4 flat is just, it's nuts.
Yep. Well, let's take a look at the interior.
So this has all kinds of different options on it too. So it does have launch control, which I don't ever use. I've tried it, but if you kind of load the suspension first, it does the same thing. So I really haven't seen an advantage to that.
Right.
But it has line lock too, which is really cool.
Yep.
So you can lock your front brakes to do your burnouts if you're heating your tires or just showing off a bunch of smoke. Which I have one video on there. It's the tire video. Right before I went to take the Pirellis off, I did a little burnout, but it's it'll certainly light them up. It does have all your different
your drive modes.
So you've got, you know, your eco stuff to get the best fuel economy, you know, and paddle shifters off traction streets. So you'd have full traction control, suspension softer, so it's a more compliant ride, steering softer. You can set up a custom, so you can do whatever you want to do. And right now I have this set up to where it's good for going through corners.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to do like a hard dig or something like that, I'll take the suspension back to street, so that way you get that weight transfer to the back tires. But you can just customize this however you want to do it. You just change that all up.
That's pretty cool.
And one thing that is cool about it too, so let's say you're just back over here at the radio or whatever. I don't have anything hooked up to it, but let's say we're just back over here at the radio or something. You're just driving down the road and you want to get into that custom mode quickly.
Yeah.
Double tap, automatically goes, so within a few seconds you're there ready. And then we just got a, you know, sport mode where everything's kind of in the middle, and then full track mode. That's the get you in trouble mode. If
for sure.
That reduces the traction control and stability control quite a bit. So you got to be pretty careful. You hit it coming around a corner, and you're probably going to have her sideways real fast.
Right. Now, one thing that I remember hearing is that these, and I know you've mentioned this, is that these pages and everything turns kind of slowly, but that they have corrected that for the next year models, what I was told.
I'm not sure about that yet. What I do know is it loads slow.
Yes.
But once you're there, it moves quick.
I believe Justin from Horsepower Obsessed mentioned to me that they were had fixed that for
the
Gotcha.
following year that everything's going to load much quicker.
Gotcha. He's got the friend that has that new Hellcat, so they've probably fixed that. But there's all kinds of information here, so you've got all your different monitors here.
Yeah.
You got all your timers, so reaction time, 60 foot, you know,
Wow.
go down the list. It's got
Super
everything.
detailed.
Yeah, super detailed. You can also save it to a flash drive if you want to save it to a
Right.
flash drive. I don't, but you can. You've got your gauges, and these are all, you can move them all around. So you get your oil temp, oil
Right.
pressure, voltage,
Trans temp, yep.
air intake. You can change these up. It's all customizable. It's just pretty cool if you want to see them on a graph too.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of stuff. It's got your G-force meter, so you can see here's your peak. So I must have had to really hit the brakes for something. But you know, pulling 1G pretty. That used to be a Vet. That was the Vet was always the car.
Yeah.
Several years ago, when it hit 1G, it was kind of the car. You
Right.
know, and it became 1G was kind of the thing, and to
Right.
think about a car this size to do that.
Exactly.
Crazy.
You're at 1.06 at the top, so yeah, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. So here you've got your torque and your oil pressure, your horsepower. Then you got your dyno if you want to kind of track it too.
That is so cool. I really like seeing that. It's interesting.
So lots of cool stuff on it, really.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, let's take it for a spin real quick.
Okay.
So we are pulling out of the parking lot here at Cabela's, and we have a Fly hanging with us. I know the horsepower in this thing, it is amazing. This car, it has so much pull. And I'm hoping the exhaust will come through on this video and that Fly will
Leave us alone.
So do you typically drive mostly with your paddle shifters? No, you drive mostly just automatic? Woo. Fast enough to make you lose your blood pressure or whatever in your head. Seeing all your info right here. Oil pressure, oil temp, coolant. Oh, I love the sound. I can't hear the burbles in here. Like when I'm behind you though, I hear all the little pops when it downshifts. See, you can do that on this road. I cannot.
Yeah.
I absolutely cannot do that on this road in the Corvette.
It's a pretty bumpy road.
It's very, yeah.
But, oh well.
And that's even when I'm in touring mode. It's just like, it'll beat you. What's funny is my wife said, though, it's still less rough riding the Corvette than her Camaro. Which
Really?
Yeah. Which I'm like, that just seems crazy. I don't drive her car enough to notice. Love the sounds. Unfortunately, the big 18-wheeler is kind of defeating our ability to hear it, but we'll get a nice little bit of sound under this thing.
Yeah, I typically drive it just in eco mode, try to get as good mileage as I can, but
Right. Whew. Man, that head rush is so instantaneous, that getting lightheaded, I love it. Still remember when I was riding with this guy Matt in his Performante, I literally thought I was gonna pass out. And he was scaring me to death because we were on this super busy road. He punches it, I'm like, okay, I hope nobody doesn't. Whoa. So much power. I love the Scat Packs. I can only imagine a Hellcat.
yeah.
All right, guys, that's going to do it for today's video. I'm going to leave links to all of Tim's videos with his Dodge in the description. So go, number one, follow him, and number two, go check out his videos. And I hope everybody has a great week. I want to say thank you to everybody that watched. Again, have a great week. Peace.